Hello and welcome to the Kansas City Zoo. Yes, we are still closed, but our animals are definitely still here and being well taken care of. My name is Kelly and I'll be narrating our little adventure this morning. And Jessica is working with our lovely little porcupine, Jasiri here. And we wanted to share with you guys today some of our original social distancing animals. It's a new concept for us humans to have to stay 6 feet away from one another. But there are various animals out there that have always been doing it pretty much their whole life, and it's their job for their survival. So very similar to our situation right now, that it's the best way for us to survive is by staying away from one another. So you can see right here, this is Jasiri. She is an African crested porcupine. And you can see her lovely quills are her method of telling everybody and everything to stay away from her. I do not make a tasty treat to even attempt to eat. And you saw earlier, Tater, our African pygmy hedgehog, and he has some wonderful spines that also tell animals and us to definitely stay away. I still don't make a very tasty little treat. Now, some similarities between these two animals that look very different from one another, and we can even throw in Jessica into this mix too, are they all have hair. They are all mammals, and because they're mammals, they all have hair. Jessica has her wonderful soft hair that's in a ponytail today. She has her eyebrows that are just a little bit different hair. And even like the hair on her arms is just a little bit different too. And if you are a person that has a beard or a mustache, that's very different hair than the hair on your head. So even as humans, we have several different kinds of hair because we are a mammal. Now, our other two friends here that are great at social distancing, our hedgehog and our porcupine, their hair is very, very stiff. It's a modified hair. So all hair is made up of keratin. It's a protein, except when you have very stiff hair like our porcupine and our hedgehog, that very stiff hair creates a thicker outer coating and makes those hairs either stand up or become very, very prickly. So we'll start with our porcupine friend here first. And we'll focus on what's the difference between hedgehogs and porcupines. Porcupines, as you can see, she has quills. Now I will say a quill, as opposed to a hedgehog spike, is really just a type of spike. There's nothing really fancy about it. It's just a type of modified hair. And her quills, as you can see, vary in length. There's some long ones, like you can see her crest. There's some very short ones, the black ones kind of covering her front legs and upper body. And she has some very thick ones that are on the back of her tail. So she has a whole variety of quills on her body. So that's very specific to porcupines. They also come out really easily. If you think your dog or your cat sheds a lot, you have not met a porcupine. Those quills come out all the time, and that's perfectly fine. As you can see, she has plenty of them. We found several of them this morning, and that's just one way she protects herself. And then finally, those quills break very easily. Again, doesn't hurt the porcupine at all. It's all helping her to do one thing. She is trying to stay alive. She's trying to survive that social distancing. She's trying to tell predators, hey, you don't want to eat me, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. So one of her go-to moves is not running to a predator and trying to stick her quills into them. That's actually kind of the last-ditch effort. One of the first things she does is kind of display those wonderful quills. You may have seen her kind of shake them and fan them up a little bit because she does have muscle control over those quills. And when she does that, That's a great display to make her look bigger and scarier to predators. And believe it or not, those black and white quills, to predators that are colorblind, they can still see that big, prickly animal coming towards them. Her next method of keeping herself safe is really to make a lot of noise. She wants to sound scary too. Now, right now, she's not making much more noise than just eating. So what she is doing is actually not doing, because she's not scared, is she has some very special quills on her tail. And they are hollow inside. So when she rattles them together, then you get a very loud noise. It almost sounds like if somebody shook a chain link fence as hard as they could. So it's kind of alarming. And a lot of predators know that animals that rattle can cause harm to me. So they typically try to stay away from them. And then the third and last effort for the porcupine is really basically backing into a predator and poking those quills in their skin. Fortunately, her quills are not barbed, meaning they don't have a little hook like our North American friends do, but that still wouldn't feel very great to those predators. And those predators are receiving a very loud message that, hey, you don't want to mess with me. So I think Jasiri here, our African crested porcupine, is an excellent example of an original social distance animal. She also likes to live by herself. So her being by herself, she is totally cool with that. Jasiri, thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to check out your quills a little bit closer because, like I said, she loses them quite a bit. So her quills are over here. You can see the different varieties. We have these wonderful kind of long quills, we've got short quills, and then we've got these kind of display quills. I suspect this is one from her crest there. So even though they're stiff, they're not very pokey. That goes with this one too, but you can see how bendy it is and how easily it could break. Now these guys over here, you can definitely see that black and white pattern on them. So those predators can see her really well and see her when she's looking her scariest. And then finally, you can see these little short ones here are probably the most prickly of all these quills. They have a very sharp point to them, which wouldn't feel great if you got ran into with them. So those are Jasiri's quills. And like I said, she loses those fairly regularly and grows them new ones in. So that's our porcupines. So remember, porcupines have quills a little bit different. Our other friend here, Tater, our hedgehog, who is wearing his shavings on his head today, he has spikes. They're still just a modified hair, but they're very different if you look at them. He's pretty relaxed right now, but if you look at him, those spikes are all the same length on his back. And that's one characteristic that is special to hedgehogs versus porcupines. Another characteristic that makes them pretty special is that they don't really fall out very easily. They're very well attached to the hedgehog, and he has great muscle control over him. So what he does when predators are trying to take him as a snack is he will just roll up into a ball. Jasiri had 3 different ways, the porcupine had 3 different ways to tell predators, don't eat me. This guy has one, and it's kind of a passive method, is I'm just gonna roll up into a very prickly little spiny ball, and you are not gonna wanna eat me. So he has actually muscles right along his torso on his sides there that help him to pull his front legs, back legs, his tail, and his head into the middle of that ball. So he's protecting all of his really important things on his bodies inside that ball, and then the outside is covered in those spines. So he's a pretty cool little guy. Again, he prefers to live by himself, as cute as he might look right now, investigating everything. But he is definitely one of our social distancing animals because he preferred to live by himself. And that's just the way he likes it to be. There's more food that way. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a little bit of fun and learned a little bit more about our original social distancing animals. Remember, it's not that weird. You know, animals have been doing it for a while. I know it's kind of interesting for us to be doing it, but we'll get through this, and we thank you guys here at the Kansas City Zoo. We are here, we'll get through this, and stay tuned for more videos from the Kansas City Zoo.